Good morning, everyone. So, this is the continuation of what Mark Angelo have discussed. So, dito na tayo ngayon sa number 5, which is determining the significance of the correlation. So, in this part, it's all about checking the relationship or connection between two variables if they are connected with each other or they measure the same thing, or if it just happened by pure accident. So, why we need to check this? Because when we calculate how strongly two things are connected, the result could sometimes just be a coincidence. So, we need to do a significant test to make sure the connection is not caused by mistakes or error or random accident. So, if we say that correlation is significant, it means the link between the two things is most likely real, not just an accident or an error. So we do the checking by comparing our calculated correlation number to fixed standard number called a critical value. So if yung calculated number natin is bigger than critical value, it means there is more than 95% chance the connection is real. So we say it is significant if the two things truly relate to each other, not just by accident. So if our number is smaller than the critical value, so the link might just be coincident, so it is not significant. So it is important to note that 95% is the most common standard. It means we are 95% sure that the result is real and only 5% or less chance is just a coincidence. So we have here the CRONBACH'S alpha formula, which is all about checking internal consistency. So what it does is it checks if all the questions in a survey or test are related and measure the same thing. So here, we want to know if the 5 hygiene checklist items all talk about the same topic. So, I will going to discuss the step-by-step explanation on how to solve the CRONBACH'S alpha formula. So, yung first step na gagawin natin dito sa CRONBACH'S alpha calculation is get the total score for each person. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan lang nating i-add lahat ng nakuhang answer nung mga estudyante. So, for example, dun sa student A, kailangan lang natin i-add yung nakuha ng student A sa pinaka-first item hanggang sa last item. So, he got 5, 4, 4, and 1. So, kailangan lang natin ipag-add yung mga yon. So, it is equal to 19. So, ganun lang din yung gagawin natin sa mga ibang student. So, the second step is find the overall average. So, ibig sabihin nito, kailangan nating ipag-plus lahat ng total ng nakuha ng mga lahat ng estudyante and then divide kung ilan lahat ng estudyante. Just for example, yung student A is nakakuha siya ng 19, yung B naman is 15, and then yung C, 16, yung D naman is 13, and lastly yung E, 18. So, it is equal to 81. And then, divide it to 5 students is equal to 16.2. The third step naman is, kailangan nating hanapin kung gaano kalayo yung score ng isang estudyante doon sa average. So, just for example, doon sa student A is nakakuha siya ng 19. Ngayon naman, i-minus natin doon sa total average, which is 16.2. So, meron tayong 2.8. So, ganun din yung gagawin natin sa ibang students. So, yung pang-apat na step naman is we need to square those differences. So, ibig sabihin, we need to multiply each result by itself to remove negative number. So, for example, 2.8 times 2.8 is equal to 7.84 doon sa student A. So, ganun din yung susunod pa na mga student. So, the step 5 is get the total variance. So, we need to add all squared differences and then divide by the number of student minus 1. So, it is equal to 5.7. And then, the sixth step naman is get the variance of each item. So, ibig sabihin, we need to calculate the spread of scores for every single question and then get their average. So, yung nakuha natin is 5.2. And then, pagkatapos nun, gagamitin na natin yung CRONBACH'S alpha formula. Here we have the CRONBACH'S alpha formula. So, CRONBACH'S alpha formula is equal to number of items, divide it to the number of items minus 1, and then times total variance minus the average item variance, and divide it to the total variance. So, in the table, we have the 5 number of items. So, ilagay lang natin dito. And then, copy lang din natin yung number of items. 5, then minus 1 is equal to 4. And times total variance. So, we have total variance of 5.7. And then, the average item variance is 5.2. And then, we have, copy lang natin yung total variance. So, 5.7. And then, so, isolve natin yung total variance muna minus average item variance. So, copy lang natin to. 5 divided to 4. And then, times. So, 5.7 minus 5.2 is equal to 0.5. And then, divide it to 5.7. So, now we're going to divide this. So, 5 divide 4 is equal to 1.25. And then, we have, so, times 0.5 times 5.7. So, we have 0.0877. And then, i-times lang natin. 1.25 times 0.0877. It is equal to 0.10. So, we have total of 0.10. So, it means we have low consistency. So, katulad ng nakuha nating result kanina, dahil 0.10 siya, ibig sabihin, very low consistency or mababa yung chance na match sila nung isang test. So, the question do not match well or do not measure the same thing properly. So, dito naman tayo ngayon sa KENDALL'S coefficient of concordance. So, dito, it checks if the different people giving score or what we call the judges or raters agree with each other. So, dito sa table, we have 3 teachers rated 5 student performance and we want to know if they give similar score. So, here's the step-by-step simple explanation. So, the first step is we need to add all scores for each performance. So, just for example, doon sa performance A, we have 4 plus 4 plus 3 is equal to 11. And the second step is we need to find the overall average. So, parang parehas lang din kanina doon sa first calculation. So, add all totals and divide by the number of performances. Just for example, doon sa performance A, we have 11, performance B is 8, performance C is 11, performance D is 8, and then we have 4 is equals to 42. And then we need to divide it to the performance which is 5 is equal to 8. And the third step is we need to find how far each total is from the average. So, we have performance A, 11 minus 8.4 is equal to 2.6. So, ganun lang din yung gagawin natin sa mga susunod na performance. So, yung fourth step is we need to square those differences. So, for example, yung performance A is 2.6 and then kailangan natin i-times ulit yun sa 2.6 is equal to 6.76. So, ganun lang din yung gagawin natin sa mga susunod. And then, the fifth step is we need to add all squared differences. So, we got the total of 33.2. And then, yung last step naman is gagamitin na natin ngayon yung KENDALL'S coefficients of concordance formula. So, dito naman, we have KENDALL'S coefficient of concordance formula. So, KENDALL'S coefficient of concordance is equal to 12 times times sum of squared difference, divide to the number of raters, times number of items, times number of items squared minus 1. So, in the table, we have 12 times sum of square difference. We have total of 33.2. 3.2. And then we have total number of raters, 3 squared. And then number of items is 5. And then copy lang natin, 5 squared minus 1. So, yung una mo natin isa-solve is yung dito sa taas. So, 12 times 33.2 is equal to 398.4. So, we have 398.4. Divide it to the, so, kailangan muna natin makuha yung 3 squared is equal to 9. And then, copy lang natin yung number of items, which is 5 times 5 times 5 is equal to 25 minus 1. So, kailangan lang natin ulit i-copy yung 398. I-copy lang natin yung 398.4 and then, i-solve natin to. So, 95 times 5 is equal to 45 and then 25 minus 1 is equal to 24. Ngayon, is-solve natin tong nasa baba ulit. So, copy the 398.4 and then 45 times 24 is equal to 1,000.80. So, kuhanin lang din natin yung total niyan. So, 398.4 times 1,080 is equal to 0.37. So, we have total of 0.37. So, ibig sabihin, kapag 0.37 is mababa yung chance na nag-agree sila sa isa't isa. So, dahil 0.37 yung result na nakuha natin is, ibig sabihin, katulad ng nabanggit kanina, it has weak to fair agreement, or the three raters do not agree with very much with each other. So, that's all. Thank you.